Hi, everyone. Welcome to. Oh, God, I don't know how to start this. We're going to make this a brand new bi monthly show where the pitch is once a month. This will be once every 2 months. So let's chai and chat. There are so many different topics to cover in my life, and a lot of them I don't want to do with an angry rant or using nomadic opinions or stuff like that. So, much like the pitch, this is just going to be off the top of the dome for as best as I can piece it for everything. And we're going to basically talk about the warped view that people tend to have when it comes to media and how they try to eschew it for things to justify in the wrong connotations, if you will. First and foremost, in this topic, we're going to talk about how people will take certain characters to eschew their own stance on things, and then overall shift them into a brand new definition that has nothing to do with the product itself. Case in point, we're going to be using Camilla from Daisy Jones and the Six, Valerie from the movie Blindspotting, and from the show Loudermilk, we're going to be using Sam Loudermilk's ex-wife,
Memphis.
Claire Wilkins, for anyone wondering what the character's name is. Let's first talk about Daisy Jones and the Six, not from the book adaptation where it's placing Billy to be this overall irredeemable character with nothing going for him other than he's supposed to be a more dramatically destructive band character based slightly around Fleetwood Mac, but not really to understand the complexities of the drama, and more of the one that Amazon Prime decided to flush out better and really explore the character in a more human aspect that we're all more morally gray than black and white. Now, Camilla is written to be this overall paragon figure for the audience to say whatever happens against her is warranted. And from the first few episodes, that is genuine. For the first 2 episodes, where Billy's rise to immediate stardom does lead to negative connotations, and she's left holding the bag because he was too immature, too unstable, had a lot of pressures where he cracked under it when he was given freedoms, whatever have you. Sure, we're going to give into that whole connotation of stuff. But then when I'm talking to viewership and also looking at a past review that was unable to be posted, it started to hit that many people misunderstood the later part of the series, where when they're trying to match the writing of the book to the television show, here's the concept that gets lost when people hear a certain scene where the character Daisy's husband is talking about how soulmates are people that are not with the right people at certain capacities and they have to trade up to do certain things. I've heard many people say that that's a signifying marker that Daisy and Billy were meant to be together, because the show wants you to believe this concept on the whole precipice of it was justified. They were meant to be drawn together. These people were destined to be with one another. And in so, certain people wanted to look at Camilla as the ultimate victim, saying that what Billy did to her was the ultimate betrayal because of just talking to Daisy, making the songs together, the near kisses that never happened, and just the manipulation tactic that was forced to make Daisy comply because of the overall spiked emotions from other outside forces, thus making it so they are destined lovers. But, much like how I'm going to be setting people straight with Invincible Season 3, you're missing the glaring point as to what the real problem is with the show. With how Daisy and Billy's relationship in Daisy Jones and the Six affected everybody, because everyone forced them into these close-knit situations to become where they were for the rest of the plot. Keep in mind, if you watch the entire show over and over again, like I had to recently, Billy and Daisy did not have to be in the same room together. They didn't have to write music together. They didn't have to build this whole thing. Because the way that the show puts it, Billy could have just made a simple album that would have been lost in the record label's whole thing, would have moved back home with Camilla and their daughter, would not have been a success, would have just been fine, moving home, doing whatever, living a simple life. The record label put Billy and Daisy together to form the song. The band and their manager put them together in a house with no way to really leave for a time to force them to bond. Camilla, during a blackout, coerced and then told Billy to be in this band to do stuff with Daisy when he didn't want to be there. At what point was the agency there for them to purposely choose these directions to go where they were going? The answer is that they weren't. They were orchestrated to do so by so many outside forces that by the time that Camilla wants to act as if it's a slight to herself and a betrayal, she, without any real evidence to the whole concept, just a simple portrayal in front of her that has no real basis, goes to cheat on Billy, thinking that he's backslid from where he was before rehab, before trying to get his life together, before trying to get himself sorted for her and their daughter. And then decides to hold this against Billy to then force them to try to be together by going into their vices, by destroying Billy from the inside. Trying to then sweep under the rug everything that is pointed out that Billy didn't have to be here. Daisy didn't have to be here. But the way that the audience is forced to have as their perspective, everyone is made to believe that this was all orchestrated by fate to have them do this. Fate had nothing to do with other people playing with the lives of others to force them into a artificial relationship that had no real basis. So why are we trying to make this seem like the end-all, be-all thing that Billy was this ultimate villain? In the TV show, Billy is a victim for all the stuff after he's coming out of therapy and also from rehab, because I'm pretty sure rehab facilities have a therapist to kind of go over why your vices are the way that they are. For people that have been to rehab, please let me know, because I don't really know. I've never really gone to rehab. But I digress. I could go on and on about Daisy Jones and the Six, but that's a review for down the line now that I've gotten some other stuff sorted. And we're just going to be going down a big rabbit hole at that point. Next, let's talk about Val from Blindspotting. Now, this was going to be a review that was going to be sorted out soon-ish, like roughly 8 months ago, maybe 9. I had the perfect co-host lined up for it and everything that understood the whole entire facets of the film, along with what my own interpretation of stuff has really gone through with. But here's the thing that many people kind of just did not understand about why Val was such a bad character for many people in universe, but had to gloss over because she was just the lady that Colin, aka Daveed Diggs' character, was formerly involved with. And I can say this because I sadly have personal experience with this. Colin's whole entire dilemma in the film is based around how, while doing his job, coworkers were trying to aggressively get him out of his comfort zone, his professionalism, did not know where to stop, provoked him so hardcore that when it went a step too far, the only narrative that fit was what someone wanted to dissect for their own beliefs. Not get the truth, not get their side of things, not even consider where other people's thoughts and feelings were, just their own viewpoint. And not just a simple stranger, not just someone that was off the street watching this from the outside in. It was someone that was dating Colin, aka Val. Throughout the whole film, you're hearing how Val is subconsciously picking apart at Colin, making him feel lesser than, taking away what makes him him to make more into a cog into her design, saying what he should do, what he shouldn't do, the friends he should keep, the friends that he shouldn't keep, putting the blame on him, putting the blame not on him when it's convenient, playing with his emotions, not playing with his emotions, twisting and turning stuff to even undermine why he's got internal turmoil that's making him kind of backslide in places where he's wondering whether or not it's worth it, whether or not he should crash out, whether or not he feels like a complete person. And it's not until there's a conversation involving the definition of blind spotting from a probably now canonical therapist term for when you're given a perspective of one thing, and even if it changes, your viewpoint will never change because you're just so interlocked on this one facet to where nothing will make you see different. You'll always see a concept. When Colin asks Val about this, her whole thing is, as a character that's supposed to be this grown, this developed, this adult, she doesn't follow suit to understand why the concept of blind spotting is a dangerous habit to have. Because humanity is meant to change. People are meant to evolve. No one's meant to be the template that we left them in. And that, in turn, makes a problem. It makes it so we don't see any growth, and we are now just the executors rather than people that are trying to take in what are facts, what are fiction, what are our own opinions and objectivities being forced onto others, and what is truly about it from the people that are themselves to give over the answers. Is that something that is a foreign concept? No, not really, because frankly, that's what's been devolving after many different conversations have happened. And after COVID happened to have us either be locked inside for a long period of time or just various different crises occurred, now we've kind of formed this whole permanent executor mentality to never really listen to people. We just have a hate mob mentality, forcing people to be in cancel culture societies and only demonize others without real proof or conversations. It showcases the blind spotting effect, not just from Val in this concept, which is probably why this segment is a lot longer than it needs to be, but it translates so well about why people miss the point about why Val is hated. Because no one wants to put themselves in that position to understand why Val's character is so detestable for Miles and for a few others, where there's a picket line around the bitch. The actress is perfectly fine. She did a great job. This is not a hate bashing thing. It's the character that we're addressing. Just trying to put that out there for all of you weirdos that might be going in the chat being like, because I know y'all out there. I know y'all. I've seen y'all. This next bit is actually a re-recording because trying to find the name of this character took a hot minute, but roughly the same exact stuff I've said in the previous recording is going to be the same. As we're talking about the character Memphis, as I incorrectly said at the beginning of the video because of trying to find notes for this episode, said that the name was Claire. That's just so many problems on that front. Yeah, Memphis Loudermilk. So, we're just gonna go over why people misconstrued Loudermilk as a bad character for what he did / is doing for a series that ran for 3 seasons, with the hope of being renewed for a 4th now that's on Netflix. Viewership's been going up, so who knows. Memphis's whole thing with Loudermilk was, I'm not going to say what entirely set her up to be a character for this whole thing. If you want to, you have to watch the whole series or wait for my weekly review retrospective on Loudermilk coming soon. But her whole stance about Sam wanting to change after things happened is probably the most unhealthy thing I've ever heard. Because in the aftermath where she has to have a prosthetic leg and does not want to change for a lot of different reasons, for the not drinking being a problem in her life. Oh, I said that incorrectly. Her drinking is not a problem in her life. She's not going to acknowledge it. The steps that Sam took to become a better person is stuff that she is disregarding as hiding from life, not trying to be a realized person that needs stability and to grow up and develop as a person. And overall, just the nature of how she treated Sam as a person during his confrontation with her about everything, because he thought that she would have wanted him to change after what had happened, but she just wanted him to stay the same volatile figure that he was at the time, that in its own essence led into more problems, because it instead bled into them not coalescing together. They had too many issues. They had too many dissonance that made it felt like they weren't going to progress as people, the more that they were going to be indulging in the waterfall of regression rather than taking the upstream of progression. And that's a bad thing, because many people just ignore that moment and everything about Loudermilk when they're first-time watchers, and then go up throughout the rest of the series only seeing how Sam is a dick, without really understanding that he is a work in progress, without really understanding that he was a lot worse and was just trying to be better, but he is human, he is stumbling. But when it's time to talk about Memphis, a lot of people are just like, oh, that's just an excuse for why Loudermilk is still an alcoholic in certain regards, or why he became this person as a crutch because of a woman. He is not doing this because he wants to grow as a man, he's using a woman as an excuse. And that's missing the fucking point. None of what you're saying is really getting to the point of the whole entire discussion. It's so fucking stupid. It makes me so angry all the time hearing people say something that asinine. You're also now giving more power to the person that is literally tearing down another individual to make themselves feel like they're the superior epithet to what is happening. That's not how you're supposed to really progress. That's not how you're supposed to change. That's not how you're supposed to look at another person in the eye and see what they're doing as a journey and then strip them of what makes them them. Nobody, and I mean nobody, should ever have that be the stepping stone, ever have that be as a benchmark, but so many people look into that as media literacy to then tear apart Sam Loudermilk, instead of seeing that Memphis's whole quotation mark for... I'm sorry, hold on. But people will see what happened at the end of season 1, and then just look at Sam Loudermilk for the next 2 seasons and not understand that maybe there's a bigger problem that should be addressed upon why 2 different aspects of where he's going needs to have that stability to grow. But he's on the shakiest grounds. There's no room for him to grow organically because of the people that are surrounding him. He's trapped in the precipice, in the middle of regression and progression, in that small canal that has no way out. But he's apparently the bad guy. Alright. So, I had to do this for what was originally recorded. I apologize to anyone that's probably just like, this seems super different, super energized, what is happening? I had to do some changes because found Memphis's name in the show. Had to change it because, as you probably heard at the beginning, I said the name Claire. And Claire is the person that's living with Sam Loudermilk throughout the first 2 seasons of the show. Oh boy, I hate the internet sometimes when I'm trying to do a fucking video. It's a lot to consider when you're really thinking about stuff like this, because the concept from all 3 characters, whether it's from artificially creating a problem to make yourself the victim and others the villain without considering the actions that you took, not really understanding the concept of evolution because you want to permanently look down on others because it makes you feel more superior for what you're doing with yourself, and then limiting the growth of others because it doesn't match your ideologies and your things of comfort without considering other people's comforts and what they need to do for change. That's real for many people to understand and really piece together in concepts that really should be followed up better and better analyzed into the characterizations as a whole. We don't have real media literacy that touches on these topics because so many people want to insert their own definition for these different problems, these different instances. And I get it. It's hard to try and say that you understand it from a big level because you've been there, or you understand it because you've seen it in a video, or you understand it from watching the material. I get that. But from other people dissecting it that should be more diverse in media literacy, missing the point, is what's spreading more ignorance into why certain issues are occurring. Warping the reality around how our media is supposed to be dissected on a greater level because we need to understand that there is a better nuance to what we do, what we go over in its whole entire energies. It's not as simple as just trying to sweep it under the rug because it's a pretty ass rug. Look at this rug, man. It's so beautiful. Ha 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 ha. No, that's not the point. That's never been the point. Our jobs, whether as consumers, as critics, as analysts, or as people trying to go into the concepts, is to understand the media, to understand the concepts, to understand everything that surrounds us. Because the people that we're supposed to be enlightening to these concepts need to understand the nuances that comes from and stems from what is sprouting forth. And the moment people don't understand and start painting their own interpretations to the worst characterizations and the worst plot lines, that's where we get askew and that's where we see real problems. Because we don't understand, we don't grow, and we don't really get a pure facet. It's taken me a while to reach this point to make this video because a lot of different factors went into it, and I'm not happy that I've gotten to this point to make a video like this. But after you live certain events with a lot of people that mix and match these different concepts to then go into why you are the way that you are, feeling so horrible about everything, no matter what you do. It's a very clouded experience that makes you feel broken. It doesn't give you that whole thing of clarity until the dam breaks, you crash out, you burn out, and then you're just this. And that's not good. So, now that we've finished our chai, this is how the chat is going. The media that we consume is stuff that needs to be actually analyzed, not in a way to give excuses to why we do negative behaviors, and more on just, we need to see everything objectively to really get everything correctly before we spread bad messages that lead to bad real-life decisions from people wanting to justify why they say and do bad things. Some might say that could be very, very distinct given where certain real-life events have gone through where many people are quoting and citing the wrong things for why they do things. So let's practice better media literacy, and let's not try to shortchange why certain elements are the way that they are. That's a good start. But yeah, we're just gonna leave it here for our first chai and chat. So in 2 months, we'll see what happens next. I don't know. It's just gonna be off the top of the dome. I'm gonna think about a lot of stuff, and we'll just get to it. Thank you.